Welcome everyone to an AWS Partners Unplugged. I am Igor, and joining me as always is my co-host Sri. Now, Sri, before we dive in, we have to acknowledge something pretty big today, right?
Absolutely, Igor. Great to be here. We do, Igor. This is our very first video podcast. So, for those of you who've been listening to us so far, first of all, thank you. But now you get to see us too. And I promise we clean up very well.
That's debatable on my end, but hey, who is looking? But actually, people are looking. Anyway, if we are going on camera for the first time, we might as well do it well for a milestone episode. And what a milestone it is. We're here to celebrate 20 years of AWS.
20 years of Amazon Web Services. Let that sink in. It was what? March 14th, 2006. Quite fittingly, it was Pi Day. In which a bunch of engineers collaborated together and launched Amazon S3, the simple storage device, as a simple storage service, as our customers know. And that was a moment cloud computing truly went from concept to a commercial reality.
Actually, I was tempted to do this episode on March 14th, but we didn't record in time. I was very tempted to also do it as our 20th episode. Also didn't work out. So it's going to be 21st episode of AWS Partners Unplugged. But fine. We didn't get the numbers. I do want to show this. You mentioned S3. I want to show the blog that we released on this anniversary, right? You did mention S3, right? It's a simple storage service. And today it actually stores more than 500 trillion objects. And we kind of talked about it. We talked about the history of it. There's this wonderful, I should have used that as a background, actually. And this service it stores more than 500 trillion objects and serves more than 200 million requests per second globally across hundreds of exabytes of data, from a single service in a single region to 39 regions and 123 availability zones worldwide. It's been quite a ride.
A hell of a ride. And, I read some interesting statistic the other day that if you put all the disks which are there in the simple storage service back to back, it'll form the distance from the Earth to the moon and back. So that is how much capacity we've built up. And obviously we need that kind of capacity if you're serving up 500 trillion objects and 200 million requests per second, right? So it's been quite a ride. And today, you and I are going to unpack this journey, Igor, the milestones, the partner ecosystem that grew alongside it, some incredible customer stories that we've been fortunate to be a part of along the way. And more importantly, also where we're headed next with AI. So grab your coffee or your preferred adult beverage, settle in, and let's get into it.
Yeah, all right, Sri. So let's take it on the road. So from the beginning, March 2006, S3 launches, right? 2006, that's when we launched it. 20 years plus now. Then just 5 months later, August 2006, EC2 comes along, giving people the ability to rent virtual computers in the cloud. At that time, a lot of people in the industry were skeptical. Why would anyone want to run the infrastructure on someone else's servers, right?
Right. And, well, the answer turned out to be just about everyone. But in addition to that fascinating point, right, what I find utterly impressive is the trajectory and pace of innovation that has followed, right? So you have RDS for managed databases in 2009. I believe in 2012, if my memory serves right, DynamoDB and Redshift. And then in 2014, we launched Lambda, which really pioneered the whole serverless computing movement, right? That was a paradigm shift. And suddenly, you don't think about servers at all, simply because the serverless is now vogue, and it's almost second nature to all of the companies that we work with.
Yeah, and I am sharing the LinkedIn post from Matt Garman, the head of AWS. He also described his journey with the company and the company's journey. Also, cool graphics. I should have used it as a background. Um, so absolutely, we kept accelerating, and the innovation didn't stop. It just kept going. SageMaker arrived in 2017 for managed machine learning. Amazon Bedrock launched in 2023 as a fully managed service for generative AI foundation models. And Amazon Q came along in November 2023 as a generative AI virtual assistant. Each of these represent a new layer of capability that build on everything before it.
And obviously there's more to those innovations, right, which we will also focus on later on in this video cast. As much as you and I talk a lot about technology simply because we're nerds and we love the technical side of it, there's also an important business side, because obviously we are not in the business of just providing tools and applications and capabilities. We want our customers also to use them. We want to do something useful for our customers, and it's borne out on the business side because the numbers are quite staggering on the business side, as you will see. AWS crossed the $100 billion annual revenue mark in 2024, reporting 107.6 billion, if I remember right, for the full year. And by Q4 2025, AWS had reached $142 billion annualized run rate with quarterly revenue of 35.6 billion, up 24% year over year. Their custom chips business alone exceeded, I should say, our custom chips business alone exceeded $10 billion in annual revenue run rate. And if you Google, there's actually a lot more statistic about the AI business alone and how big it has been. 3 years ago, we didn't have an AI business, or rather, we weren't reporting specifically in the AI business. Right? But right now, that's a big part of our profile and makeup and all that. So clearly, the technology has been born to be the right things that we've done based on the business numbers that we're seeing and continuing to see.
And I'm changing my screen. I'm itching to change it to show our global reach. But from 0 to triple digit billions in 20 years, that's quite a remarkable. And it is due to the fact that our global footprint is expanding to support this all. AWS expanded from a single region in 2006 to regions across every major continent: Europe and Ireland in 2008, Singapore in 2010, Sao Paulo in 2011, Beijing in 2013, Mumbai in 2016, Bahrain in 2019, Cape Town in 2020, Tel Aviv in 2023, among many others. That kind of global infrastructure does not happen by accident. And you can see all this on this wonderful page where you see the graphics
That's right.
with all the regions and upcoming regions as well.
That's right. And look, it doesn't happen by accident. By the way, as a travel aficionado, these are all my favorite cities as well. So it's great. But under the hood, the engineering is just as impressive. As much as we do have a global reach, AWS has spent the last 8 years progressively rewriting performance critical code in the S3 request path and Rust, for example. We have even built new S3 storage backend called Shard Store, and approximately, I think, about 40,000 lines of Rust. When you think about the discipline it takes to modernize a system that's handling what, 200 million requests per second while it's running, that's like changing the engine on a plane mid-flight, which I never hope to experience. I have experienced it from the technical side here at AWS, and it's nothing short of fascinating.
Great analogy. And speaking of modernization, AWS Transform has saved customers over 1 million hours of manual effort, the equivalent of 483 developer years. Can you imagine if you could live 483 years? While the service analyzed 1.8 billion lines of code. They are not just building new things; they're helping customers tackle their own technical debt too.
That's right. One of the things that, in the context of the technical debt that we are tackling and all these lines of code that we've written, all these new applications and capabilities and tools that we've put together, it is important for us to also focus on something that you and I spend pretty much most of our working days close to, the partner ecosystem. Look, as much as AWS has been the progenitor of these kinds of capabilities, these things weren't built by us alone. We've had the AWS partner network that we've been a part of. That's been a massive force multiplier, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The APN officially launched in 2012 with just over 50 partners. By mid 2012, that number had already grown to 1,000. A year later, 4,000. By 2016, more than 10,000 partners had joined. And today, nearly 150,000 partners globally, spanning consulting firms, independent software vendors, and startups, and system integrators. And Sri, we need to get them all to listen to our podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which talks about some of these things. And but look, to your earlier point, you flashed a screenshot of the global deployments.
Oh, I can do it again. Yay, let me bring it up.
Yeah, with our global data centers and whatnot, right?
Yep.
And the partner ecosystem is nothing short of global as well. 70% of these partners at Igor that you've mentioned are actually headquartered outside of the United States, the Americas in particular, spread across more than 200 countries and territories. So this isn't just a pan America story. This isn't a US centric story. It's actually a global, it's a truly global community and phenomenon that we are privileged to be a part of. And it's been 20 years in the making.
Yeah. And let's talk about economics, because this is where it gets really interesting for partners. According to Omdia Partner Ecosystem Multiplier Study, AWS partners can generate up to $7.13 in service revenue for every single dollar on AWS technology sold. And that multiplier is driven by expert partners. About 30% of the partner base who deliver services across the entire customer lifecycle.
Amazing. And that's, a powerful number, first of all. And Omdia, which is an independent research firm, found that 61% of revenue opportunities, nearly 2/3, actually occur post-procurement in the build, adoption, and managed services phases. So the real value creation happens after the initial sales complete. And if you think about it, right, that's a fundamentally different model from traditional technology resale. Traditional technology resales, you actually talk about a solution, you sell it, move on to the next customer. But here, that's not the way AWS does business in the first place. It's not about fulfilling a point need, but it's also figuring out, okay, what are all the things that needs to happen after that for us to make sure the customer is happy. Ultimately, you will hear this said over and over again by many people besides me and Igor. It's always about the customer. We work backward from what the customer wants and then fulfill our responsibilities to ensure that the customer is always happy.
Exactly. And our executives in partner org always talked about it, how the program has shifted from being resale focused to services driven and customer driven. The evolution of partner program tells this story clearly. You go from the initial Capgemini collaboration in 2008 to the formal APN, AWS Partner Network, and Marketplace launch in 2012 to the first competencies for big data and MSP, managed service providers, in 2013, to the ISV Accelerate program in 2020, and now to the Gen AI competency with over 300 partners, and an AI agents marketplace category with more than 2,100 listings. I've just had an episode with Matt Yanchishin about that. Please listen to it.
That's right. By the way, terrific episode with Matt Y that you did. By the way, the marketplace as well is a terrific channel. There are many advantages of marketplace. I'm not going to go deeper into this here, but suffice to say that we believe the marketplace has got significant benefits for our partners and our customers, and of course, all the competencies that Igor mentioned, Gen AI competency being the late, has a lot of advantages for our partners when they get these competencies. But the scale of what ISVs are doing across all of these different programs. Like, for instance, Marketplace, major players like Salesforce, CrowdStrike, Snowflake, Databricks, and Splunk have, and this is public information as well, have each surpassed about $1 billion in AWS Marketplace sales, the latest of which is New Relic. So that's not pocket change. That's a thriving commercial ecosystem, which clearly has benefited not just AWS, but also our partners, and more importantly, our end customers.
And with the Gen AI service opportunities forecast to reach triple-digit billions by 2030, we can say that this is it's a growing market. We're in the very beginning of it. So the runway for partners is enormous. AWS is investing more in the AI competency itself, more than any other competency in its history. And if you're a partner and you're not leaning into AI right now, you're leaving a lot on the table.
Absolutely. Look, we've talked a lot about the technology. We've talked a lot about AWS solutions. We've talked a lot about the business. And we've also talked about the fact that our customers are what drives us towards innovation. All that is true. But none of this really will resonate if we don't bring this to life with some customer stories, because this is where you really see the impact of AWS and our partners working together. Which one, Igor? And I'm going to put you in the hot spot. You've got a lot of customer stories, as do I, but I'm going to force you to pick a few that can be encapsulated within this video cast.
I think we should pick something that is moving very quickly. Let's start with Formula One, because it's such a great example of digital transformation. AWS became the official cloud and machine learning provider for Formula One in 2018. And together, we launched over 20 data-driven Formula One insights on live TV, processing 300 million data points during each race. But there is the headline number. Just in 6 years, from 2017 to 2023, Formula One grew its fan base by 20 times and expanded its global audience from 500 million to 700 million people, with an ambition to reach 1 billion by 2027.
If you think about it, that's about what, 20 times the fan base growth in roughly 6 years or so. And by the way, on a personal note, my favorite, Ayrton Senna, the great Brazilian driver, is my F1 hero, gone way too soon. And look, this is not an incremental improvement. This is a complete reinvention in the context of F1, of how a sport engages with its audience and how all of its engagement is powered by the cloud and data. And in this case, we're particularly proud that all of it is powered by AWS.
And then there is Pinterest, which is a fascinating AI story. They have transformed from an idea-sharing startup into one of the world's most sophisticated AI-powered discovery engine, serving 600 million monthly users and processing over 500 petabytes of data. 70% of user discovery on Pinterest is now AI-driven.
I was in a meeting with them and a few of our executives. Did you know that there were over 10,000 Amazon EC2 G5 instances for inference and more than 600 P4 and I believe P4DE instances for training, processing over 10 million AI-powered recommendations per second?
Wow.
That's the kind of scale that is made possible by our cloud.
Yes, and only cloud can deliver that.
Yep.
And we should mention a few more quick ones. Syngenta Group built on Amazon Bedrock and increased product placement efficiency by 5 times, giving growers real-time insights into weather, soil conditions, and crop health. Ferrari used Amazon Bedrock to deliver a 20% increase in custom vehicle configuration and boosted productivity for over 1,000 technical users through generative AI-powered knowledge base. And Insilico Medicine brought a fibrosis drug candidate from a target discovery to compound validation in under 18 months for just $2.6 million using AI platforms built on AWS.
Look, the in silico story always gets me. It tugs at my heartstrings. I used to be in the pharma industry doing a lot of analytics using large databases. We used to, work with the mainframe to be able to collate the data from different sources, unstructured data, structured data. For us to be able to look at treatment regimens used to take an enormous amount of time. With this process that you just talked about in terms of what we did in silico medicine, drug discovery that used to take years and cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and sometimes, with FDA approval hanging in balance, is done now in under 18 months for roughly about $2.5 million. That's the kind of impact that changes industries, but also to our point about the end customer impact, that's the kind of impact, the positive impact that we have in the quality of lives of people who are suffering from debilitating illnesses. What could be a better feel-good story than that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sri, we've looked back to 20 years. Now let's look forward. And the story going forward is clearly about AI, right?
That's right. Look, without question. And in the rich tradition of Amazon and AWS, we're going to continue taking massive bets, right? Amazon recently announced up to $50 billion to expand AI and supercomputing capabilities for United States government customers, adding nearly 1.3 gigawatts of capacity across AWS Top Secret, AWS Secret, and AWS GovCloud regions, with construction breaking ground in 2026. And that's an enormous commitment in the public sector. 2 days ago, I think we had an announcement for our investment in Anthropic and Anthropic capabilities and models. So there's a list of these kinds of AI-related innovations that we're taking big bets on, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. We are following that up with the material commitments.
And then there is Project Rainer,
Yes.
the world's largest AI training cluster on custom silicon. We have several custom silicons, right?
Right.
We have Trainium, Inferentia. Now the model's gotten so big, so inference running on Trainium primarily. So this Project Rainer, it deploys nearly 500,000 Trainium 2 chips across a 1,200-acre facility in Indiana dedicated to training Anthropic's Claude models, and it was activated in October 2025. AWS also launched Trainium 3 Ultra service at reInvent 2025, built on TSMC's 3-nanometer process, which is top-of-the-line manufacturing process for semiconductors, with 2.52 petaflops of floating point 8 compute per chip. The custom silicon strategy is a real differentiator in this space, I think.
When you mentioned reInvent 2025, I was thinking, man, that was so last year. And we're already looking towards reInvent that's coming up in December. We have all these different announcements that we're planning for. On the services side, Amazon Bedrock has evolved into a full serverless generative AI platform, offering access to foundation models from AI. It depends on how you say it. I say A121 Labs, Anthropic, of course, Cohere, Meta, Mistral AI, Stability AI, and of course, Amazon itself with capabilities including multi-agent collaboration, knowledge bases for RAG, retrieval augmentation generation, guardrails, and of course, agentic workflows. And following the general availability of Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, which again, I believe was in October 2025, partners are rapidly building production enterprise AI agent solutions. Even yesterday, I was with a customer, and they're using Bedrock to deliver agentic capabilities for a number of the customers, particularly in the FSI area. So this is a burgeoning area of frenzied activities. You're going to see a lot more of this year.
And some of the listeners might be thinking, well, there's a competitive landscape. It is true. And AWS leads the global market in this space. We have our custom silicon solutions. We innovate with our AI services, but the competition is real and it is intensifying.
It is, but look, our differentiation. There are two wings of our differentiate prongs for differentiation. One, of course, is that we differentiate through model diversity via Bedrock's multi-provider approach, and of course, to your point, we've had custom silicon like Trainium and Inferentia. So yes, we are focused exclusively on our innovations. But the second prong of our approach to the market is always about the customer, right? Because we innovate with the customer in mind, and we've had partnerships with OpenAI, for instance, to bring capabilities into Bedrock. So now our focus is on delivering innovation based on what we believe is important for the customers going forward. But also for us, the other competitive advantage is that we provide choices to our partners and customers. Take, for example, model choice, right? We have a smorgasbord of models to choose from. We're not saying, hey, it's just one model, take this or take the Long Island Expressway. We are absolutely democratic in our approach towards providing the selection and choice, and we believe that's a significant competitive advantage.
And for partners, opportunities are enormous. I mentioned earlier the triple-digit billion generative AI and agentic AI services opportunity by 2030. That is the next wave. The pie is growing, and the partners who build expertise now, who invest into the AI competency, who start delivering AI agent solution, they're the ones who will define the next chapter.
It's interesting you should say that. One of my personal heroes, you're at AWS, Dr. Werner Vogels, our CTO, said it beautifully in his final reInvent keynote after 14 years. I hope he changes his mind and comes back again this year on stage. He compared this moment in technology to the Renaissance, to the Italian Renaissance, and emphasized that AI will not replace developers, which I strongly believe in, but developers who embrace AI will replace those who do not, which is absolutely true. I think the same applies to partners. We're not here to replace partners with AI, it's impossible. But partners who embrace AI will certainly outpace those who do not, and certainly have a significant edge in taking advantage of all the innovations that we're bringing to market on behalf of them. And of course, our ability to collaborate with them is going to be significantly enhanced with this AI first approach that our partners are and will be taking.
It was a bittersweet moment at reInvent 2025 when Dr. Werner Vogel announced his departure. The Metallica quote was also bittersweet. I hope you recognized it. I'm pretty sure you did.
Right.
Yeah, well, but as we wrap up, Sri, this milestone episode, it is also our milestone, right? We have hopefully successfully recorded our first video podcast celebrating 20 years of AWS. What's your biggest takeaway?
That's a good question. For me, I would say I'm always astounded and pleasantly stunned at the compounding effect of the ecosystem. We didn't just build a cloud infrastructure, as impressive as it is. We built a platform that nearly 150,000 partners and millions of customers across virtually every vertical have built their businesses on. This is a huge multiplier for the customer transformations we talked about. The AI investment is all compounds. Every layer of innovation, which we've jointly created alongside our partners and customers, create new opportunities for the next wave of builders, and also address some pressing global challenges we have across, again, both the business and the social side. And I think from that standpoint, that's a huge accomplishment that we all should be proud of.
I love that. Well said. For me, it's the scale of what's being achieved and the ambition of what's ahead, from a single storage service to 500 trillion objects, from 50 partners to 150,000 partners, from infrastructure to intelligence. And with AI, we are really just at the beginning. The next 20 years are going to make the first 20 years look like a warm-up.
Imagine that, huh? Because the first 20 years were impressive. And if it's just a warm-up, we're all very excited for that prospect. And to all of our partners out there, I will say, whether you've been in the ecosystem since, 2012, or you joined last week. The first and most important reaction I think I can speak on your behalf to on this, Igor, is to say a heartfelt thank you to our partners. And of course, it is because of them that this ecosystem thrives. And of course, to our customers as well, without whom none of this would actually make any sense. So the encouragement that I would like to give humbly is to first, for all of us to keep building, to keep innovating, and to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And thank you to all of you who for joining us on this first video episode of AWS Partners Unplugged. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, share it with your colleagues, other partners you know, drop us a comment. We'd love to hear your favorite AWS memory from the last 20 years.
Before we sign off, Igor and I always do a bit of a personal reflection recommendation. Today, I will kick it off. I'm recommending one of my favorite BBC serials that I started watching as a kid back in India in the mid 1980s, I think. It was called Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister, with the phenomenal Nigel Hawthorne, Paul Eddington, and Bernard Fowles. Check it out. It's about the dysfunction that we see in governments and how people actually make fun of it. But it's very intelligent comedy. Even today, I watch it and I cannot stop laughing. That's my recommendation.
And staying with the visual media, I would love to recommend a TV series that is in the second season now. It's called Your Friends and Neighbors.
Oh.
It's John Hamm, and the main character, he reflects on the past, just like we just reflected on the last 20 years. So reflects on his own past. And well, his future is slightly different from ours, but it's very entertaining. Check it out. I don't want to spill the beans. So Sri, I think it's a wrap.
Great recommendation. Until next time, I'm Sri.
And I'm Igor. Stay curious, stay building like Sri said, and we'll see you on the next episode of AWS Partners Unplugged.
Happy 20th birthday, AWS.